Because what you're saying is when they announce a game and it's out in 6 months, 8 months, whatever the release window is, and you pre-order from that date, you're just saying, I'm okay with whatever you give me. If you then get a product and it's what we got and you've complained, you've forfeited that right if you pre-ordered. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 1 of the new Simracing podcast here on Demo 1. We've rebranded Talking Esports to the Simracing podcast, so welcome along to this new show, this new format, and hopefully we can get some interesting topics into your ears and into your eyeballs through the weeks in coming months with interesting topics in the Simracing world. First one, and it might be a little bit controversial, you need to stop pre-ordering. This is why. We'll talk about it right now. So why am I telling everybody to stop pre-ordering? Well, off the back of a pretty disastrous lead up and launch for ACC on console, I wanted to explain to you why you need to stop giving these guys money before you've been given a product. Because if you weren't happy when you got your console game of ACC and were complaining of whatever it was that you didn't like, if you pre-ordered, I believe, then you have no legs to stand on because you've already committed. So anyway, I don't want to trigger anyone. That is not the plan of this episode, but more I want to try and share an objective opinion, if there's such a thing, of sort of the history of these things, why I think some of the community out there was so emotionally charged. I know I was, why I was upset with the way they handled it, and why people are angry. Because there's going to be people that loving it, but you need to stop giving these guys a pass. So let's start talking about that. So anyway, for Corsa Competitzioni, an Italian company developer, when it came to them, entering the console PC space, it came all the way back in 2013 when Assetto Corsa was greenlit on Steam Early Access. So that's what, 6 years ago now. It's a long way away. They've done things before that, but that was probably when we first saw them into the mainstream. And from there it was pretty good. So everything was good. The game on PC was officially released 19th December 2014. There was a version prior, but let's count the 19th of December as the official release date. And from there, I don't think Corsa had a lot of motivation to put it on console. But I think once 505 games came into the picture, this is when things changed. And I think we first heard about a console release on the 3rd of June 2015. 505 announced in partnership with Corsa that the game would come to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in 2016. Now we had an initial release date. It was pushed back. First one was in April of 2016, then the second one was in June, and then the third announcement was that you would be getting it on the 26th and 30th of August 2016. And that date, that came and gone, and prior to the release, obviously, Marco Massaruto, working at Corsa, claimed that the console version would have the same physics as the PC. Their target for the console was 1080p at 60 FPS, which is what everyone wants now with ACC. And weirdly, it said the Xbox will match close as possible. So obviously they don't really work on the Xbox the same way they work on the console on PS4. So anyway, the game came out in 2017, and then a company called Digital Brothers, another Italian company who owned 505, then came in and bought Corsa. So now Digital Brothers, they own both Corsa, the developer, and the publisher 505. Now, once the release date came for console, guess what was the biggest request from the community? And well, really, it's not going to be hard to guess. It was private lobbies. We can go through here and look at this post. I want you to take good close attention to this post because we're going to reference it when we get to ACC. Now, this is from the community manager, and she said, "Hi everyone. As you can imagine, it's been incredibly busy across our community channels in the last 48 hours. Therefore, we want to use this post as an opportunity to address some of the biggest FAQs we've seen recently." They go through some of the DLCs, what is included with the season passes. They're saying there's issues and bugs, so go over to the support forums and submit it there. And then it comes up, here it is, private lobbies. So they knew about private lobbies back in 2016. We hear you. Our biggest priority with the console editions of AC was to release a stable game with great driving. So that might obviously give us an indication as to why there were so many delays. Obviously the game wasn't stable, but they wanted to obviously get that working smoothly enough for the release, and they did that, and that was all they pretty much did, because we didn't have private lobbies, and there was some compatibility issues, I believe, with steering wheels, and I know there were FPS frame droppings, there was stuttering, there was tearing in the initial release. So, you know, the PC version's never been perfect, but we knew pretty early on that we're getting an early access version, and with those early access versions, you know, you're expecting not to see the finished product. But here, on console, there's no such thing, especially in the PlayStation world. They do not really allow it. But to be honest, AC, when it was released on console the first time around, wasn't there. It wasn't quite ready. It was good, but it wasn't ready, let's be honest. So yeah, private lobbies, steering wheels, FPS issues, all that. So you've heard all that before. Now they did come out, and it was talked about for months. Again, private lobbies, getting the updates. This was one thing that is good about 505 Kunos, and the community manager. Her name has just passed me for the moment, but she's done both AC and ACC. They do keep you in the loop relatively, so to speak. But I even gave Ace, Kunos, and 505 credit where credit was due for this console, because you know what? They're a small dev company. This is their first, foray into the console world. Giving them a bit of slack. Totally understandable. They've not really done this before. Cool. And it was great. They were keeping us updated. Private lobbies, again, thank you for the patience. We get almost every day. Rest assured, our team have been working incredibly hard to make them happen. It's not an easy task for the developers, but today we're happy to announce that private lobbies are heading into QA, quality assurance. So watch this space. That was on the 20th of January 2017. Keep that date in mind. Keep that date in mind. Anyway, things keep going on. This is another one where they talked about private lobbies. Again, back in 2016, private lobbies DLC that came out. And again, they just kept announcing it through all the months that they were committed to making a stable game, working on their foundation, and just rest assuring us that there was a lot happening behind the scenes. So, give them a bit of slack. And I think we were all happy to do that for the reasons I said before. Now, obviously, private lobbies were a huge talking point, because for console players, this was like a really big simulator, especially like really hyper-focused on the sim side, that was on console for the first time. So if you're a sim racer on console, of course you want to get involved in this. So there's, private lobbies. It's coming this April. GT Planet were talking about it. So that was back in May in 2017. But that release got pushed back 1 month, and it wasn't till the update version 1.14 came out 9 months after the initial release on the console was when private lobbies came out. Now, I just want keep that number in mind. Now, obviously, for the first time, like I said, we were pretty happy with that. They were obviously working on it. They've never done these. They've never had to jump through these hoops before. They've never had to go through all this rigmarole of, pleasing Sony, pleasing Microsoft, and or whoever else they've got to go through. But they did it. And they did it 9 months later. 9 months. So we had private lobbies from the date was May 17, 2017. There was, I think, even issues with when they were first released, so there was still bug fixes. These things happen, we move on. And also another thing, early on, I did talk about wheels when the release date came. They had a console supported wheel list. As you can see, Thrustmaster was supported. Some Thrustmasters were only called compatible. Same with the Xbox. From what I read, especially because there's no Fanatec on this list, there's a Logitech. It's just all Thrustmasters. It was something to do with the way the licensing works, getting, officially supported for PlayStation 4, being able to say that on your box and marketing. I think Fanatec were going through something, so they weren't allowed to say it, even though they worked for their Fanatec customers. It was more of a game-by-game basis from Fanatec saying, this is what does and doesn't work, but they couldn't guarantee anything. But yeah, at least the console players back in 2016, 2017 had a list of wheels. So, AC, it went pretty well. It was pretty popular. Now, they did say that they did claim that the physics were going to be the same. They definitely weren't. But I think they did get to their target of 1080p 60 FPS. So, most people are pretty happy. I enjoyed the console version. I also enjoy the PC version because it's highly moddable, but, there you go. And then we move on to ACC. Now, obviously, ACC was out on PC first. We all knew that. It went through a pretty rough phase in its early access, but we got to buy it cheap then. But we knew it wasn't going to work, right? And then the game was fully released. I don't have the exact date, but, later on. There were still bugs. They were still tweaking and fixing it. The game wasn't really quite there yet. But, what they are good at communicating, and they are good at updating. So they did that, and their game right now on PC is just the best GT3 car simulator available anywhere. Absolutely, it beats everything hands down. And because it focuses just on GT3s, it is so good at what it does. The physics are on point. The cars are on point. Just absolutely everything about it. It's amazing. There's lots of detail, especially with the tracks, and then just graphical fidelity and all the little things that they've worked on in the Unity engine. Absolutely amazing. And it's a beast of a game. You need a hugely powerful computer to run it. But there's also a steering wheel capability list for PC. So, that's nice to have. But then when we look for the console version of ACC, they don't have it on their official 505 website. So there is no list yet. And I will want to get back to that at some other point. Now, ACC, when it was first released. Well, where do I start? 2 weeks out. We had no gameplay footage. We just had a trailer. That's all we had. And then we get a tweet just before this one saying, guess what, guys? We hear you. We're going to put out an FAQ and come watch. So everybody jumps over to this video. And as you can see, it's just a Zoom call with, the developers. Dave Perel's there. He's obviously got an invested interest in the game because Coach Dave, his thing's up all over the game now. And then we had this, host that was asking questions. There was chat running. Everyone was getting a bit annoyed because already we're 21 minutes in and we still didn't know much about the game yet. We hadn't really seen anything. They were just talking about sim racing's this, sim racing's that. Tempers were high. Tempers were very high. But then this question got asked about PS5. So I want you guys to listen in. If you're asking about PS5 come ACC, take a note.
To the PS5 and Xbox Series X, will ACC? I don't know if it's been officially kind of announced for next generation consoles, but there's clearly a lot of interest in it. Will it be able to utilize the extra performance that we will find in the next generation of platforms?
Answer is pretty simple because we actually don't know, simply because the focus on the development team is now fully on continuing the PC development and to finalize the first launch on.
I want to pause it there because console guys, obviously, you've been a bit of a rushed afterthought, and I don't know whose fault this is. I don't know if it's Digital Brothers pressurizing 505 and Kunos, or maybe 505 wanted to get a console game out. I don't know. I just don't believe that Kunos would rush ACC the way it's been rushed, because we've had problems. We had no gameplay footage, right? So we're all fearing that the game was going to look crap because we knew it needed a good computer to run. The PS5 question gets asked. They don't even know if when the PS5's out that it's going to be able to utilize the hardware. They just don't know they don't. I don't even think they know if it's going to work. To be honest, because I think they got in before that cutoff date. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they got the game out before the cutoff date where Sony mandated it needed to be both PS5 and PS4. So yeah, that's another thing that has confused the community. Why didn't they wait for next gen? Who knows? There was also wheel rumors going around that some Logitechs didn't work. That turned out to be pretty true. I know Xbox guys were having issues with their G920s. The G29, the PS4 version, seemed to work. I know there was a USB issue with the Xboxes. There was massive frame rate issues on the Xbox One Pro, X or whatever you call it. PS4 Pro, I think, was pretty good. The PS4 launch went pretty as good as you could get, but the Xbox, they were clearly an afterthought. And then, the launch date gets closer. They put out some really rushed footage that was obviously on controller because you can just tell it looked jerky. And then this FAQ stream was an absolute failure. It was just abhorrent. Everyone in chat was pissed off. Simracing Paddock was in the chat talking, saying none of the media questions that we asked were even brought up in this chat, and all the questions that they all voted on these questions. So they wanted to get the top questions asked, which would have been FPS, PS5, all that stuff. They were never really asked. But an FAQ did come out a little bit later explaining a few things, but there was still so much unknown, and we still hadn't got the game in our hands yet. It was absolutely incredible the way this thing was being handled. So it's Antonella here. This is the Discord for 505. Now, nothing against Antonella. She's obviously handled AC and ACC, but my God, you've dropped the ball a little bit with ACC. Now, I just want to say this. There is, when something goes wrong, us as humans, we sort of want to gravitate towards a face or a person to blame it all on. And Antonella, because you're the community manager, it's easy to do that. Now, I have been critical of the way I think you've handled it. I've not attacked you personally. I've seen people attacking you guys pretty harshly. I can understand why, but I'm a professional person, and I understand that you're obviously not working with the devs. You're probably not even in those higher up meetings. I don't know how it works for you, but I've been a little bit disappointed this time around, because what did we have when the game was launched? We had FPS issues. We had wheel issues. We just stuff. No private lobbies. 30 FPS. Just, guys, you made the same mistakes twice. These things should be planned out ahead of time. And this is why, guys, this is why you do not pre-order. If you're going to pre-order, expect this stuff to happen. Expect mistakes. Expect the game to be rushed. Expect there to be bugs. Expect it to be broken. Because what you're saying is when they announce a game and it's out in 6 months, 8 months, whatever the release window is, and you pre-order from that date, you're just saying, I'm okay with whatever you give me. If you then get a product and it's what we got and you've complained, you've forfeited that right if you pre-ordered. Now, I know a lot of you cancelled after hearing things, but it clearly wasn't enough to hurt their bottom line, because there's still a lot of people out there, I think, who are just enjoying it for what it is. They play offline, they play by themselves, and let's be honest, it's on console. It's more of a casual market on console. You know, there are hardcore sim guys on console for their reasons, and I understand that, which is another podcast topic, by the way. But yeah, the casual guys that wanted a full sim, I think most of them are pretty happy. Anyway, well, I digress. Now I was asking, you know, any update with the ACC FAQ, because she announced this FAQ, I think a week past, nothing. And then I get this random guy saying, oh, tomorrow, there's that video. So we watched that video, got answered nothing. And then after the video, well, that FAQ answered absolutely none of the questions. And look at these responses. Watch 1 hour, got not many info. What was that it? Antonella, so many people hoping to see ACC footage, and instead we eavesdropped on a staged Zoom call. It was just a marketing hype. It was so crap. And I said, yeah, just a small portion of gameplay footage would have been nice. Any info about the lobby mode, we still didn't. We knew no private lobbies, but, you know, some people hadn't got the message yet. And then, yeah, some just weren't happy. And then this console FAQ was posted. All right, so this is the first of 2 blog posts that we've seen from Antonella since the release. This one was a week prior. So it started to answer questions like, when does it launch? Can I pre-order? What do I get with my pre-order? And I just want to quickly add in, if you're getting it for the DLC is available 2 weeks after launch. So even if you're still happy to, you know, take the compromises that we've seen so far, you could have bought it the day after or 2 days later, or even waited for your favorite YouTuber to review it and still would have got the DLC. So I don't find that as an argument either. Anyway, yeah, so they just a whole bunch of crap talking about pre-order. This is where they get a lot of people on pre-orders, right? The fear of missing out. Because they say, oh, you can only get this stuff if you pre-order. And everyone's like, well, I don't want to miss out on Bathurst or Kailami or Suzuka. They're like, these tracks, or Laguna Seca, these tracks are, you know, they're iconic. And especially for Australians with Bathurst, you know. So obviously you're going to pre-order just to get those, because you don't want to spend the extra $20 or whatever it is for the DLC. But get here. 2 weeks to get hold of the Intercontinental DLC at launch. Xbox users don't. This was weird. We don't want PS4 users to miss out as a result of not being able to pre-order. That's why we'll be giving the PS4 the opportunity to pick up the DLC at no extra cost. Xbox users won't miss out if they decide to pre-order. Again, just some really weird decisions being made. So I guess for Xbox, you might have wanted to pre-order, but weird. Anyway, they talk about all the DLC again. Just, you know, keep just shoving down your ear holes that you're going to miss out if you don't pre-order. You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. Now, then we get into this part. PS4 Pro 1080p. You know, what's the difference between the standard and the Pro? Draw distances, anti-aliasing, post-process effects, particle effects. 4K output mode runs at 3200 by 1800. What resolutions and FPS? This is all it said. Base PS4 1080p 30, base Xbox 900p at 30, and they're having FPS issues at 900p. It's insane. Is there a difference in performance between the One and One X? It's just saying you're getting 84K on the One X. Is the career mode? How many players online? They say 20. We had 16 in AC. When the lobbies come, I think they're going to be at a stretch to get to 20. 16, I think we'll comfortably make. But 20, if you get 20, that's awesome. I really hope you guys can get 20. But, it's going to be a stretch. Anyway, and then obviously they talk about just how the game works with the ratings, the multiplayer, the cars, blah, blah, blah. So that was the first post. Game gets released. We find out all these issues happen. Now, remember that first blog post I was talking about with AC? Just rewind, listen to that, and then jump back to here. This is from the community manager, and she said, "Hi everyone. As you can imagine, it's been incredibly busy across our community channels in the last 48 hours. Therefore, we want to use this post as an opportunity to address some of the biggest FAQs we've seen recently. Hi everyone. It's been 48 hours since we officially launched Assetto Corsa Competitzioni on console." I've heard that before. And now the dust has settled somewhat, we wanted to provide you all with an update on where we're at, what our next steps are, and address some of those hot topics reported on social media. As your community manager, I know that transparency is key, so I want to take this opportunity to talk through some of the hot topics and provide you with an insight into what's going on behind the scenes. We don't have answers and solutions to everything, but it's important for us to acknowledge what needs fixing and what we plan to do about it. Basically, she's saying we've screwed up, we know that, and we're fixing it. Or, if we peel back just the surface layer a little bit, we find out we've rushed the game a little bit and we got caught with our pants down somewhat. But too bad, you've already given us the money, so you're just going to have to deal with it. Now, I know Kunos are going to do everything they can in their power to fix these issues, but this is what I'm talking about, guys. If you pre-order, this is your fault, because you've told the developers of any game, doesn't matter if it's AC, an EA game, a Blizzard game, whatever, right? If you pre-order, you're telling the developer or the publisher, whoever it is, that we're okay with games being half finished when we get them, because we don't mind waiting for these fixes to happen 9 months down the road when the game is finally where it should have been on release date. Where, if you waited 9 months, you probably get it for half price. So this is why you need to stop pre-ordering. Anyway, will compatibility, still no list. I just want to point this out there. In the Discord that I was talking to, and I was trying to talk to Antonella, I said here, back on the 17th of June, have you got a list of supported wheels for PS4 and Xbox? There's a lot of talk amongst the community, but no real confirmation of what is and isn't. Hope to hear back soon. I tagged her in that. I tagged her. And then someone said, what wheel do you use? You should be okay. Like, these are fans that are defending the game already. And they're out there, but like, I'm expecting high quality. Right. So, yeah, there's going to be people that defend it, but, I'm expecting a high quality product for my console brethren, because this shouldn't be the normal that we have to deal with these issues. You shouldn't have to deal with this stuff. And I said, look, it's not for me. It's for everyone else in the community. I'm sticking with PC personally, but there has been no confirmation what does and doesn't work. For those people who are still supporting the console release, they aren't getting much communication back in return. And a few people agreed with me. We saw some more, footage. The game came out, and then this is what we got on the 23rd. So she never replied. Look, DLC, we're going to be adding 10 new GT4 cars coming on summer. This fall on consoles. That's all I can say right now. We knew that. And then she popped in just a few minutes later, it looks like, just to let you know that while private lobbies won't be in the console at launch, we're pleased to announce that they will be coming at a later date. Stay tuned. That's all she said. And I said, any update with the compatible wheels? People tagging her? People want to know this stuff because it affects if they're going to buy it or not. And then the game's out, and then they post a bug submission thread form for people to fill out for wheels, for FPS, for their console. Like, guys, this is your second release of a racing game. Why, one, weren't private lobbies in there from the get-go? Two, why weren't all wheels supported? Why weren't these bugs tested properly? All the bugs we're getting this time around are similar to what we had the first time around. Like, did you learn nothing? And like Antonella, seriously, in this situation, just tell me you don't know. It's okay. I'm going to be pissed off. Not at you, though. Because if you mean it where you say you want to be transparent, then you need to back it up. You obviously, as a team, I think you guys did a great job with AC the first time round. It was, again, like I said, your first attempt at a console world. You've been there, done that. Why? I don't know where the issue is. Obviously it's not your fault as the community manager. But where at 505, at Kunos or Digital Brothers did this fail? This is disgusting. I feel like somebody's rushed Kunos. I don't think Kunos, again, would stand for this. I just don't see them doing it like that. I feel like it was either 505 or Digital Brothers saying, look, we need to pounce on this sim racing thing that's blown up since, we've all gone into quarantine. Let's get ACC out there because it's obviously one of the hottest properties out there at the moment. Let's put it on console. Why didn't you wait for next gen? People would have gladly waited to get an extra 30 frames at 1080p if that's what you had to do on next gen. I mean, what you did here was just short of a miracle to get it running. But wow, you've stuffed up big time. Anyway, so still nothing. And then I said here, look, I guess you never had a list of wheels because you're yet to reply. People are having issues on console. It isn't looking that great. I love ACC, but come on, the fans deserve much better. At least you're working on it. I mean, it's hard. I'm angry for the console guys, but I'm also angry because you need to do better. You've been here before in the exact same position. Anyway, so people talking about frame rate being off, all this. And then, there's another blog post. It's posted on Twitter. I think it's posted on Facebook. All the other socials. Discord misses out, so I post it for everyone to see. Let's have a look. Console launch and the next steps. So wheel compatibility. A hot topic. Our dev team are looking into this as priority with wheel manufacturers. We know there are issues that need ironing out and we're investigating on our side. Rest assured, we see you and we hear you. No additional info as these things don't get sorted instantly, but we will let you know when we have more details to share. We're sorry some of you are experiencing issues and we want to thank those who have submitted reports full of useful info for our team. It helps a great deal. Oh, just to add, if you report issues to our team around wheels, please ensure that your wheels firmware is up to date first. Cool. Why? I don't understand why. I just can't understand why wheels in a sim weren't tested. This boggles my freaking mind. FPS performance. Again, issues with FPS, particularly with the Pro and Xbox One X. This is something our team are fully aware of and looking into. That's great. Good. You've owned up to it. Livery editor. Again, issues. I don't really care about that. Multiplayer. Something we're taking a deep dive into as we're aware. Some of you had problems with multiplayer, especially on day one. Rest assured we're not ignoring the problem. Behind the scenes, the team are looking server-side into what might have caused these crashes. There were crashes, people couldn't get servers, there was nothing. I even saw a screenshot of an Xbox saying it was connecting to the PS4 network. It was weird. All right, private lobbies. And she goes on to say, as mentioned earlier, private lobbies are coming. No exact launch date to share, but know that they're coming and hopefully much sooner than you think. As soon as we launch a date, we will communicate this. What we can tell you though is we're looking to support 20 in private lobbies. So cool, 20, cool. We'll write that down. No date yet. I just want to, if you're still watching, thanks for hanging around. At least 9 months, guys. So you can grow a baby in that time. come back, you'll probably have private lobbies. By that time, well, we're all going to be on, well, most of us are going to be on PS5 then. They need to do this really quickly. Like, I don't know why this wasn't in the game day one. Because going off their past history, they said pretty much the same stuff. And they've run into roadblocks along the way and had to keep delaying it a few times. So 9 months is their average right now. It's not looking good. Because, yeah, you're probably going to have a new console by then. And ACC, for a lot of you, you're probably going to be done with it. Because if you can't do leagues, what's the point? For me anyway, I know what, like, if I do career mode, then I'm done. And there's no split screen or anything, so where do I go from there? So look, this is why you don't pre-order. This crap you've let happen if you pre-ordered, please don't take that personally, but this is why in the future I think you need to just give it a day or two and see what happens. I wanted to review this myself, but while I think it's gone pretty well, you know what? This has all angered me. This really has. So anyway, after that was launched on Twitter, everyone was like, oh, encouraging, well done, being transparent, this is awesome, blah, 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 smashing it with the updates. And to be fair, she is, because I don't know how much Antonella knows. But 505 and Kunos, come on. Like, I was furious when I read that people were happy with that. When people read all this and were just like, what? They're like, oh, great work. Yeah, sweet. You're just accepting all the issues and you're okay with it. This is not their first time. We should be, I don't get it. She finished it off with saying, like to thank those who have taken the time to provide us with constructive criticism, because I know they've had a lot of just not very helpful. Helped us help you in providing invaluable info and for taking the time to share your content, screenshots and kind messages. We're so grateful and fortunate to have such a passionate community. As soon as I have more information from the team, such as fixes, dates and times, I will let you know. As mentioned, we're doing all we can to try and fix the issues behind the scenes. In the meantime, hashtag the ACC. This post, I don't know why I got so emotionally charged. Like, I was furious when I read this. And then when I read everyone's just going, oh yeah, sweet. That's a free pass for ACC right there. No. So obviously Antonella's done her job, but because most of you have just given 505 and Kunos a pass there. This is why we get broken games, guys. This is why. You need to hold them to account. This is why we're getting games that are released broken. This is why you've got FPS issues. This is why you have to go through 50 steps on the Xbox to get your Logitech to work. This is why there's frame drops on the Pro consoles for both PlayStation and Xbox. This is why private lobbies aren't there, because it's just a cash grab. They've got their money and they're going to run. They don't even know if it works on PS5 yet. I don't know what you guys think about that. I know that was pretty long, but I feel like something had to be said here. I don't think there's been any updates since. Look, if you are enjoying the game, I'm sure you are. And this is not that I want this game to fail. I want this to succeed because this game is so good, and I feel like console, you are being absolutely ripped off. If you're paying full price for that, you shouldn't be. You should have taken it back and just waiting. If we do finally get private lobbies before a PS5 comes out and there's still a player base, I'd love to stream for the console fans, because I know there's plenty of you out there, especially with the SFR guys. But for now, I think it's GT Sport or Project Cars, if whatever it is you like on console at the moment. 4 leagues, because private lobbies, I think, are still 9 months away at the most. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Am I being too harsh on Kunos and 505? Am I expecting too much from a release date? Or are these things just what you expect to happen now? And was that blog post enough to relieve your concerns? Because trust me, I as much as I think they're doing their best, I still think this was a massive cash grab. Massive. And yeah, I've got nothing more to say. Nothing more to say. Well, look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of the Simracing podcast here on Demo 1. My name's Josh Gain. I'm your commentator for all the races, and I hope to be doing a lot more of these podcasts in the future. Hopefully not as long. I wanted them to be 10 or 15 minute, ear chunks, ear fun-sized bites you could just put in your ears and listen to on a short drive to the shops or whatever it was on the drive home. But this one, you're going to need to sit down and take notes, I think. But anyway, thanks for hanging all the way through if you've done that. Thank you very much. Again, hope I get more of these out. But that ends the first episode of the Simracing podcast. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Facebook, on Twitter. You know where to contact me. And I'll see you in some of the races that we stream. So until then, race hunt on the edge, guys. My name's Josh. I'll be signing out, and I'll see you in episode